Thank you. Kathy, you missed the opportunity to hand out these fine gifts. So she wasn't.
Those are cool.
Well, she wasn't kidding.
Enough on your
Yes.
table,
Yeah.
yes.
No, she wasn't kidding. So we've got some tremendous takeaways today, and this is something I didn't expect when she pulled her card up this morning. But I thought, how summary. So this is a great addition to our theme today. Yeah, and Mark, you may not have two. Yeah, just like you know, you may not have two. Yeah, so, yeah, that's exactly right. And so a lot of great things back here. And Kathy, we're fortunate enough that Kathy has come in the former position of Rebecca Cooper. Rebecca Cooper now working independently and working as an entrepreneur, still very active in Partners in Ed. But Kathy is your go-to person. And once you master her last name, lickety-split, she'll be on whatever you need as a partner in Ed right away.
Pronounce it for us.
Winarzik.
Winarzik.
How did I do? Pretty close?
Yeah, Winarzik.
Yeah, I've been working on it for months, let me tell you. Yeah, appreciate that. But thank you, Kathy. And we have Kathy to thank for breakfast and for lunch both days, and really for all the great things that we rely on her for from Credit Union of Georgia. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. So let's talk about our performance today. Always making sure we're standards driven. I'm going to abide by with the things that we like to model for you guys, of course, teacher and leader keys standards. And those standards are really going to drive all that we do today. The teacher and leader key standards we're going to focus on for leader keys, instructional leadership, and professionalism. I hope you see those modeled today, and we adhere to the tenets of both of those. And then teacher key standard, professionalism, and also communication, 9 and 10, really crucial. Those are the two standards you will not see us rating today when we do our video ratings. And those are two standards that we cannot generally do in an activity or in a professional learning like this, because we won't have the opportunity to see how a person is communicating or what their professionalism looks like over time. So just something to keep in mind. A moment to pause and reflect on our priorities. Finding ourselves in this manner, how we use what we know to be our number one priority, making sure that it's a great place to teach, lead, and learn every day for our students and for all of our employees. Strengthening our foundation again, but also simplifying it to make sure that we're innovating, having a clear mind, being able to be creative and push our boundaries just a little bit in order to make sure everybody's thinking in a more challenged manner, making global decisions, if you will, and then using data in regard to all the things that we do. And this one will come up a lot next year in the PLC development we're doing. I think you're going to see a really strong emphasis in, certainly from the administrative standpoint, how well do you know how to use any data that you have your access to? And also, what are you doing with the data at your schools? Are you helping your teachers unpack really thoroughly to get at the heart of what is affecting students? So our district priorities will guide and support what we do today and tomorrow. A couple of things to consider today. I was really excited to get the latest issue of the Learning Professional, which is through Learning Forward, and I've got a copy here. A couple of great articles in this magazine this month, really chock full of professional learning ideas and support and tips. And I pulled this quote and a couple of others today from Gusky right out of an article that I've tabbed if you want to look at it. But talking a little bit about professional learning and it having purpose and intent. Really, we have to start, as you know, with the end in mind. Your coming to this training does not signal that you've checked something off ideally. It really signals that you're renewing or maybe beginning a commitment to the ways in which you affect teacher and leader effectiveness in your building. That is crucial, especially as we go forward in what will be our third and fourth year of really using an instrument in the best way possible. You're now credible with it. You have a strong understanding of how it should be used. We want to kind of reflect on our PLC questions as we go forward. This really ties into the work we're going to start in the fall. I'm excited about that, asking ourselves even through courses like this, why are you here? And I should know that as the trainer. Making sure for myself that I'm planning training that's meaningful for you. And regardless of whether you came from the outside and you're working at the district office, or you're working at the Department of Education, or you're right here and we're in your building, we're on your turf, all of this should be considered. And when you're planning professional learning to try and support the standards, these are the reflective questions that really will be the starting point for you. And with your teacher teams or leadership teams, making sure you've got these things accomplished by clarifying what the expectations are and knowing that you're going to end with evaluation, but you're starting with the planning is crucial. And I think sometimes we overlook that. Teachers don't hear that enough. It's not about the daily performance. It's about backing out and knowing where you're going to end up and why. How do we get our students there? The same is true for our adults. So just some reflective questions today. Love that you came to the training. Really, really love it. Some people are here for the second and sometimes third time. So what a commitment to the great things that we're trying to do. However, not everybody raises their hand and runs toward a training. Sometimes if you're voluntold to do a training, or there's something associated with the training that's like, hey, this is super great. No, you gotta do it. And our teacher evaluation system and leader evaluation system trainings are very often, no, this is mandatory, so just check that off and keep it moving. We had an experience this year where we gave directions. Don't even worry about that, just check yes, click level 3 and keep it moving. We love you, we trust us, we got you. However, showing up when you've got the investment of time, I think adds that far more important aspect of why are you here? Even if you were voluntold or you were recommended for this fantastic course, you're not gonna regret it, believe me. But I like to think about this and just reflect on the ways that if you are here, why not bloom where you're at and make sure that you're using the experience wisely. I hope there's one thing you can take away from the 2-day experience. If nothing else, a fantastic new partner in ed, a great team that can model things for you, and networking that we have that kind of be cross-divisional or cross-organizational in our case as well. So pause for thought. We'll be engaging in what we normally call professional learning norms here, and I'm hoping that these will be satisfactory for you. We've got our AEIO and U, and we're here, of course, to improve student learning, and that'll be the driving focus of our discussions today. Few objectives. Of course, we're gonna hit a couple hard. Engagement versus compliance. How do I know the difference? How do you know when a student is teaching? When you walk in and do a 15-minute observation. I had a conversation yesterday with a teacher. She was talking about her feedback, and she said, you know, I just don't understand how anybody can really effectively identify what it is I'm doing well in the classroom when they're not here long enough to even finish their coffee. Fair point, fair point. At the same time, we want to make sure that they're going in knowing, do they understand the difference between engagement and compliance? Can the evaluator thoroughly understand and then articulate, well, here's what learning looks like. And I saw that in your room today. Here's how I know that. I can identify. Here's the script I have. Here are the ideas I wrote down, the facts. Or I saw that everybody well behaved. It looked good in there. They were all in their seats. Everything was quiet. That to me looks very proficient. Can we really tell the learning level? It's impossible, right? Until you thoroughly understand what it is to be learning and identify what that looks like and what the students, and know the students, right? For the principal in the room, knowing the students, probably every single student. Are there students here you don't know all that well? You know probably pretty much everybody in the building, Lynn, would you say?
I would say I know them, but with 1,000+ kids, I couldn't name everybody by name, no matter how hard I've worked on that.
Yeah, but she is in the building all the time, in the classrooms all the time, talking with the teachers all the time, as are all of her team members. We're gonna talk about how that influences teaching practices, and of course, we're gonna do a lot of collaborating. I've done a lot of talking already. I wanna turn it back over to the tables. I want you to do 2 things for me, if you would, with your partners right now. Introduce yourself if you're a stranger to someone, and if you aren't a stranger to someone, get up and Mustang mosey over to another table and say hello to people who are new to us. And while you're there, I'd like you to reflect on a couple of the comments that you're seeing here. Anything stand out as connecting with you? Anything relevant to the year that you're having? Have a quick chat, and we'll come back in a few minutes.
We'll mosey to you guys.
Hello.
Hi,
How are
Lynn.
you?
I'm Glenn.
How are y'all? Nice to meet you. Where you at?
How are you? I'm well.
Right, excellent.
Nice to meet you. Now, where are y'all from?
I'm from Dickinsville.
Okay, okay.
I'm from Shorter University.
Oh, great, great.
Department of Ed. Maryland College.
Glad to have you. Brian.
Good, I'm
Okay.
Mark. How are y'all? See you, I'm gonna meet y'all today.
Where are y'all from?
Shorter University.
Shorter.
I'm from Dickinsville.
Big smell with Paul.
Yeah, that's right. How are you?
Well, so
Good,
we can
good.
all just chat here, with you all, if that's all right.
As we hover over you.
Yes, we all.
I believe this is some sort of professional learning activity.
Exactly.
Didn't we call this fishbowl 15 years ago?
Yes, we did.
Okay, stay true to it. It worked.
Okay, tell me what you wanted us to do, just look and see if any of those speak to us.
Yeah, is there anything there that resonates with you? Anything that stands out? We're getting close to TikTok, the end of the school year. Anything that kind of resonates right now?
I think the middle one, 90% of essential questions in any evaluation are addressed in a planning process before the journey begins. And I feel like as an evaluator, and I don't know how you all feel, but when I go in, one of the decisions that we as a team have made, or at least that I've made and shared, next year, one of the things that I plan to do, for every 30-minute evaluation is have a post-conference. I've thought about doing a pre-conference because again, a lot would be addressed prior to meeting with them, but sometimes that for what I found is, it makes my teachers so uncomfortable. They're already uncomfortable no matter what we say and do about being evaluated. So I feel like as much as I can see in the evaluation, I still need to hear, because I think there's so much more depth to what's going on with so many of my teachers, so much more, the assessments that are used. You know, there's only so much that they can put in their lesson plans about what assessment they used, how they determined groupings, why they flexibly grouped ways. So one of the things that I've committed to doing next year is I'm gonna do like our formative evaluations, we're gonna have post conferences before I do any finalizing, because I feel like that is 100% accurate. They've done so much in the planning process, and then I get in there for 30 minutes, and I can see a lot, but there's still so much more depth to what they're doing.
I think too, number 3 goes with number 2, because it's also talking about kind of the same thing, where evaluation is where you start, you do the planning, and then the evaluation takes care of itself, as long as you've got good, effective planning at the beginning.
Yeah, I would agree.
You guys are a 7 Habits school, and Pickett's Mill is, so it's completely begin with the end in mind, and making sure that teachers are practicing that as well. I've thought about, from a teacher point of view, one idea, since you can't have both a pre-conference and a post-conference, is sometimes teachers will leave the lesson plans on the desk for you to come in. I would prefer for them to give them to me ahead of time.
Our
so I
teachers
can
do that,
look
yes.
through it even before we walk in.
Yeah, our teachers do that. They give us that, and then we also have our teachers fill out a TEKS input sheet. So it has all, and this is only for their formative. They do it once in the fall and once in the spring. But they fill out, and the idea is, put stuff down that you want us to know that you've done in each of your areas, so that when we're writing up our formative, there may be stuff that we don't see. And a great example of that is one of my teachers, or a couple of our teachers, do book chats during their lunch period with their highest kids. And they do it, and I had no idea what was going on. And, I'm reading some of the stuff, and I'm like, my gosh, there's so much more that goes on that we can't possibly, we can't see it all. So I do think, and I'm as I'm sitting here, I'm starting to think, maybe I'll do pre meetings versus post. And maybe, although they get uptight, a pre-meeting might actually reduce the angst of going into the evaluation. Yeah, that might actually make them feel more comfortable that they've set me up for what I'm gonna go see.
It might also give them the confidence to know they're doing what they're supposed to be doing and what you're expecting.
Exactly.
So they're not, because
So
when
now
you come
I'm
in
thinking,
without
I'm
that
thinking I'm
training-
gonna change that to a pre-conference versus a post, and go in before.
Well, that brings me to the third one, right? It's all where you start.
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah, so that really is critical, and I think that'll be a very great opportunity for people to kind of talk through, and teachers to think about, where do I need to end up for you? Every school's different, the context is different, the culture is different, the daily climate changes, the organization changes, how are we affected by organizations outside? All of that will be relevant. Any other comments? Could you remember your new friends' names?
You can remember where they're from.
Allison,
gonna work on
Maria,
that.
I know there was a Jennifer.
I'm reading her tonight. That's Catherine.
I've got Michelle, I don't think okay,
What's going on?
Brian.
Brian, that's right, okay.
okay.
Got it.
Oh, wait, okay, we need to
She's
do that
the
again.
daily
Jennifer
entry.
is,
Nope.
no, wait,
I should.
no, Maria.
She filled out her own.
Marilyn is Bryant. Catherine, is that shorter? You're shorter? DOE, okay. HR, Michelle. Shorter, okay. Pickett's Mill, Allison, okay. And it's Lynn,
It's enough.
Mark, and Donna, and Ginny. Let's see if you can figure out who Mark is.
He's the mean one.
Yeah, punch him, that guy.
Yeah. It's good.